So you need a book, which we don't need immediately, something with a bit of weight to it, preferably. And we're looking at aligning the spine, and we're going to particularly look at the neck today and how you deal with the neck. So yeah, the computer generation, the computer, phone, all this sort of stuff, you know, it's playing havoc with people's necks and their upper spine, actually. Generally, the thoracics as well, even the upper thoracics in the, you know, in the chest, that sort of height. So what we're going to do is we're going to just look at how you deal with the neck. And this is, I've actually just written a blog on this as well, which I haven't published yet, so it's not out yet, but I think it will be in June 24. And so what we do is, the blog is a lot about deportment. Okay, so there's this thing, you know, you finishing schools back in the previous century, really, or maybe they still have finishing schools for all I know. But there's this whole thing about deportment here. And I found some wonderful pictures of 1920s, 30s, 40s of people walking around with a book balancing on their head. We're going to take a look at this in a minute, as you gather. And I used to think, oh, this is just, you know, society and how to present yourself in society. And yeah, okay, so probably it is, but also I now understand the book thing, which I never understood before. I didn't get it. And the book thing is, it's about the way you look at it, not just sticking a book on your head and balancing it. It's nothing to do with balancing the book on your head, nothing whatsoever. And I didn't get that. So I'm going to show you what it's about in a second. So first thing we do is we need to connect the lumbars, or the sacrum, down at the back here, and the lumbars are the next 5 vertebrae which go up. And then you've got the thoracics, which go up to about this height here, roughly speaking, this height. And the first cervical is actually still below shoulder level approximately. So first of all, you sit into your chair and you've got 2 sitting bones, which you need to feel like they are really settling into the chair. Let me just get Oscar again. So Oscar's 2 sitting bones are here and here, right? This is the ischium. These are each one is an ischium. Presumably the plural is ischia, but I'm not sure. So so those 2 bones need to settle into the chair. Yeah. So that's the first thing. So you keep doing that, and you just really allow your body to settle into it. So you feel gravity. And gravity is going to play a big part in what I'm talking about here. You actually borrow gravity. You need the force of gravity to really help you settle. So take it. Let your bum really settle into that chair, as if you're trying to make yourself so heavy the chair might break. Yeah, it's that feel. You really want to let your body settle. So that, of course, means that some people will just go, and they'll start sagging. Okay, so the whole of the next bit's about not doing that. So you still don't lose that really heavy feel. So what you do is you let that really heavy feel happen, and now you start to notice between your 2 shoulder blades. So roughly speaking, towards the top of the shoulder blades, you have an acupuncture point called thoracic, well, it's level with thoracic 3. So hang on a second, let me just do some counting here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so this is T1, T2, T3. So this is the end of your neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the end of your neck. But although this is now below shoulder height slightly, yeah. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, and there's 12 thoracics. Now, roughly speaking, 3 is going to be, and I don't have with me the scapula at the moment, but it doesn't really matter, because on your scapula at the back, your shoulder blade, you have this thing called a scapular spine, which when you tuck your hand behind your back, you can pretty much touch almost. I know some people can get their hands much higher up the back than I can, but the spine of the scapula Oh yes, if I put my hand over my shoulder, right over, I can actually feel the scapular spine here. So the scapular spine it goes sideways like this. It goes at these angles like that, and it goes up. So it's not the base of the scapula down here, it's much higher up. In fact, here, where I can actually feel the scapular spine running up towards my shoulder. And do the same if you can find it, go for it. Because where the scapular spine meets in the middle here, that point there, area there, is where we're interested in. Yeah. So that's the bit we're next going to connect. We're going to connect to the pelvis. Now then, T3 in acupuncture terms, thoracic 3, that place we're talking about here, roughly speaking, on my body, and drawing on the front of me, but it's about here. T3 relates to the lungs. The acupuncture relates to the lungs. So you'll possibly feel your chest beginning to open a little bit here when you do this, but please don't make it, okay? Don't make anything happen that I describe. So first of all, gravity, settle. Okay, so gravity settles you down. Now start to feel that area between your shoulder blades, what we're talking about. It doesn't have to be so precise as I've been making it. It's that rough area. And it's as though this area here, I'm just drawing it on the front of me, it's settling down to this area. So these two, it's like that's happening. So I really just let that settle. Now, I noticed when I first started doing this that my spine automatically started to alter and my chest altered. I stopped being quite as much like this. And when the back settles up here, this sort of height, and it joins, you kind of want to sit up a little bit more. It's like the two bits here are joining to that, and it makes you just open, and your lungs begin to open here, your chest begins to open. So that's your base that you need. You need your good base there. So computers make us hunch over and they lift T3. As soon as we start doing this and hunching over, our spine starts to stretch. But more importantly and worse is that this starts to contract. So we don't want the contraction here. So what happens is we go sink the base. This is always go from this way upwards. Yeah, sink the base, connect this place and feel like, you know, the elastic on the back they've brought them together. It's bringing them together, but this is the one that's sinking. And then what we do is we just relax the neck. And this is where the book comes in. So grab your book. Okay. So we're going to stick a book on our head. Yeah, you're going to balance it on your head. Okay, find it there. Okay, now, yeah, it looks daft, but it doesn't really matter. You're not, you know, you just, it's just an idea to work on getting your neck sorted. So here, our natural instinct is to try and push the book up. Okay, but that's not the way to look at it. My book weighs quite a lot. It's probably 3-4 pounds. It's quite a lot of weight. It does feel maybe I've overdone that a bit. It's a lot. I would say this is a bag of flour, so maybe that's 2. Okay, so there you are with your book on your head. Now, what you do is the book has a weight to it, and gravity is pushing it, trying to get it down to the floor. So what you do is with your neck, you feel as though, not as though you're lifting the book, you feel as though you're supporting the book from underneath. So we're now looking at it instead of something, we're not trying to push upwards, although that may happen. Feel like you're supporting that book and holding it in place so it can't fall any longer. Now, if you get the concept of this supporting rather than lifting, it alters how you deal with this whole neck situation. So when I just did it then, I think internally, I think, right, support. Okay. Okay, so I can feel a couple of things happening. The first thing is my neck vertebrae move backwards towards the wall behind me. That's the first thing. They start to move back. I also feel, because I'm still settling here and between my shoulder blades, that's all dropping. Because I'm doing that, it feels like the neck vertebrae are actually lengthening. They're going back. And because they're lengthening, it feels a little bit like my chin is very, very slightly tucking under. Okay. Now then, take your book off. We possibly don't need it anymore. Because you can do this just imagining that now. So if you try and do, I don't know if you're going to see this, if I try and do this, yeah, you're going to, let me watch myself. Oh yeah, you can see it, yeah. So if I try and do that, I'm going to give myself a cracking good headache, really good one. Yeah. So because I'm basically trying to use muscles to do the job that what I want to do is is release muscles in order to do the job with the book, not stretch up. As soon as I start stretching up, then everything goes tight in my neck, particularly at the front, especially if I try to tuck my chin under. I start to borrow muscles here at the front. I don't want any of that. When your neck undoes at the back, and now you've got an imaginary book on your head. Okay, so wait a second, settle your bum into the chair. Connected to this point here, roughly speaking, on your spine. Let this point here connect to there. Now, just close your eyes for a second. Imagine the book's on your head and you're actually not lifting it, you're supporting it and stopping that weight of 4 pounds, 3 pounds, 2 pounds, whatever it is, you're stopping it actually settling. So you're merely keeping the book in place and you're not letting your neck be crushed. Okay, now keep your eyes closed and imagine you're now having your photograph taken. Okay, so you're in front of the camera and you're about to give it your best photo shot. Just let yourself sit up out of your chair, but that's a very bad expression because out of the chair implies an upward rising. And I want you to sink your pelvis into the chair simultaneously whilst giving your best photo pose and supporting your book. Now you may feel that your neck just undoes, and that's what we're after. You can open your eyes. That's what we're after. We're after the feeling of the spine doing this and lengthening rather than you forcing it to get longer. We really, really don't want that. As I say, it is a headache special. You don't try doing it. So the finishing school deportment concept, and maybe this is how they taught it, I just don't know. I haven't got a clue. But if they did teach it like this, I mean, in that case, it's a fantastic way of allowing the whole spine to undo. And you do reach your full natural height because in order to get there, you're releasing the spine, which reaches its full natural height. Bear in mind always that muscles contract. No muscle is designed to expand. It can only expand if you relax it. So any relaxation you do, so when you sink here first, and you allow this to sink, to connect to it, what actually happens is there is a releasing in the back at the same moment. The chest opens, the muscles undo here, and you find you're actually wanting to sit up a little bit more. And then you stick your book on your head in your imagination and you allow it to rise. You allow the book to be supported. I should not say you allow it to rise because that implies, again, you're trying to do that. So the whole process here is an undoing, not a doing, as I keep on saying in these type of things. So the art is to undo, not to do. Stress makes us, in effect, contract. Yeah. We need to counter that, and you just let everything undo. This settles your sympathetic nervous system down as well. It means you're going to breathe better. Sometimes when you do this exercise, you'll feel your lungs working better as they open. Literally, it feels like the lungs open a little bit more. I remember the first time I got this, and because it's Alexander technique, basically, this is what we're talking about. Head forwards and upwards. That's what we're about here. It's all the same. It comes down to the same, whether it's Tai Chi, Qigong, any of these type of things. This is about everything undoing. And I remember the first time I did this, I had this sudden, it's like I was short of breath. I found there was more space to breathe in. So that's where we want to go with this. You can practice this when you're walking. So when you walk, make your bum feel heavy. Then you go to this second place and you just let that connect. And then you walk along with an imaginary book on your head. It will work, I tell you. It makes a big difference. You'll find your posture improves. You're standing up much more. Yeah. Good. Okay. So just get rid of your chair for 2 seconds. You're here, and all you're going to do is, we're doing a standing version. Sink, sink, book on your head. Support the book. So you have to really feel what it would feel like if you had that book on your head. And you're supporting it from underneath there.